Hello everyone, I am Palak Agarwal, a volunteer at ADORE, and I would wholeheartedly welcome each one of you in today's webinar on 5 ways to find self-confidence and foster it by Miss Daniela Elster. ADORE is a global voluntary platform which aims to motivate youth to identify and undertake positive activities for a better society. We are a community network of university students and professionals who interact with students so that they grow up as successful professionals and responsible citizens. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our speaker, Ms. Daniela Elster. Ma'am is a owner of Sunrise Delight Coaching. Ma'am is a psychological coach since 11 years and a systematic coach since 10 years and is a skilled and certified to do coaching not only for single people but also for teams which have issues with the team. She is working since 27 years and has vast experience in travel agents, hotels, pharmaceutical companies, energy company, logistics. Ma'am has also worked with Apple, Google, and Disney Plus too. She has coached team members of DAC team, Israel, and Adriatic team. She has collaborated with cross-functional teams to influence quality-related performance improvement. Welcome, ma'am. I would like to take this opportunity to please enlighten us with your knowledge. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me for the second time. It's really a great pleasure to be with you again and also to talk about confidence today. This is a really special topic for me. The ones maybe who joined the last training know that I'm always talking about self-love. And now having soft skills as a main topic, I really thought about what can we do, because there's so much self-love in the soft skill topic. So what is the main thing that we can talk about? And then you also came up with the same idea as I in that minute to talk about confidence. But first, let me introduce myself. I know they said already a bit of me, and most of the things are really great because I worked for all the big companies. I worked in call centers. I worked in environments where I had about 1,000 people or more around me. But I also worked in the small companies with about 5 to, I think, 20 people. These were the smallest ones. So I have this vast knowledge. But if you know me a bit, and then you might not know, you know that I'm coming from a background of a lot of abuse during my childhood and during my teenage time. So for me, talking about or thinking about confidence was always a very difficult thing, because I wasn't confident in myself at all because of all the neglect and abuse that I experienced. But nowadays I am confident. For sure, there are times where I have not as much confidence as on other times, but this is completely normal, and we will also talk about these things. But first of all, I would like you to introduce yourself quickly in the chat. So where are you from? Maybe also your age. You heard already I'm working since 27 years. So yes, I'm quite older than you are. But I don't feel that old because I'm always surrounded by younger people. But let me see where you're from so that I can get an idea. If you don't know where to find the chat, either it's on the bottom, like a small chat box where you can click on, and then it should open on the side usually, or as a special pop-up. So really just type in there. Hyderabad, nice. And I've never been to Hyderabad. I've only been to Ahmedabad. But it's on my list already to go there. Oh, Kolkata, also very nice. Also on my list. I didn't mention why I was in Ahmedabad. Maybe I can tell this while I'm waiting. I was responsible for the quality of a call center in Ahmedabad. So I was traveling from Dublin, where I was based in Ireland. I was traveling to Ahmedabad several times to see how it's going and to give coaching and trainings to the employees there. So many places I need to put on my list. So if you have special recommendations, also reach out to me because I'm planning to come back to India. Okay, cool. Do we have anyone who's not from India? So please also show up and mention this in the chat. There will be times for questions at the end, but if you have urgent questions or if you really want to make sure that your question is out and you don't forget about it, also type it in the chat throughout the session. I will check the chat frequently to see if there is something that I could also include in the presentation. If you want to wait at the end, I will give you the chance to directly talk to me and to raise the question directly to me. Okay, so let's start with that quote. When you have confidence, you can do anything. And there my question is, what is your understanding of confidence or self-esteem? What is difficult about confidence for you and what is easy? Maybe you also want to comment in the chat about this so that I can get an idea why I'm talking about my story of confidence. As I said previously, this was quite difficult for me. I always looked like I was confident, but inside of myself, I was really lacking confidence. And there are many examples in my life where you can see this. So, for example, I don't know if you know about the German customs, which is called Carnival. So we are putting on costumes and then putting on special makeup. And then we are going out like clowns or cowboys or special things. And at one moment, I was a Charlie Chaplin. And this costume was really, really great. When I see the pictures today of the costume that my mom made for me, that looks great. The makeup that I wore was awesome. I really looked like Charlie Chaplin in one of his movies. You might not know Charlie Chaplin. He was a very famous actor. He's dead since many, many years. But he was very famous in Germany because of some of his roles that he had throughout his life. And then one of my teachers came to me and he was like, "Whoa, Daniela, your costume is so awesome." And I was like, "I don't think so. You're just making a joke of me." And this is something how I reacted to compliments quite often. And then this is also a sign of lacking confidence, that I didn't trust myself, but I also didn't trust the people who are telling me something. When I was offered certain positions, and there's one example in my life, this was when I was, I think, 32. I was offered a great position in Namibia. I should have been responsible for lodge there, so hotel style. And I didn't take it because I didn't feel confident enough. I felt like I can't do this. The other person saw in me, so the person who offered this to me saw that I would be capable of this with all my knowledge, but I didn't trust my knowledge. I didn't trust my experience that I had. So I neglected that job. I said no to it because I didn't feel confident enough. And it took me many, many years to understand this, what is really blocking me. So now I would like to really talk about confidence, what confidence is on our self-esteem, depending on how you want to phrase it. So it's the overall opinion of yourself, how you feel about your abilities and limitations. And we all are capable of certain things, and we all have our own limitations. And this is nothing that is bad. It is like this, and we can overcome also certain things. So when you have a healthy self-esteem, you feel good about yourself, and you see yourself as deserving the respect of others and as deserving of certain opportunities. When you have a low self-esteem, like I had for many years, you put little value on your own opinions and ideas. You might constantly worry that you aren't good enough, and you might also constantly worry about the opinion of other people about yourself. So what the psychologists found out is that self-esteem begins to form in early childhood. So factors that can influence our self-esteem include thoughts and perceptions, how other people react on us, the experiences at home, at school, at work, or in the community. If you are ill for a long time, or if you have a disability or an injury, this might also have an impact on your self-confidence. The role and status that you have in society, or that your family has in society, can also have an impact on this. And especially when you're young, media messages have a big impact on your self-confidence. So there might be messages on Facebook, on Instagram, or whatever you use that give you a feeling of not being worth, of not being good enough. There might also be relationships that you have with others, with your parents, with your siblings, with your friends, teachers, or other important contact, which give you a low self-esteem. In my case, and I love my parents, so don't get me wrong, but my parents also grew up in a very abusive way. So they thought that constantly criticizing me would give me the strength to conquer the world, to be successful. But what it did with me was that I was always looking for my fault, that I was always thinking I'm not good enough, that there was an inner voice in my head telling me all the time, oh, Daniela, you're not making things right, you're not doing the correct things, you're not, you can't do certain things, because I was criticized a lot. If your relationships and then all the things that you experience throughout your childhood are strong or were strong, and you receive generally positive feedback, you are more likely to see yourself worthwhile and to have a healthier self-esteem. If you receive mostly negative feedback or are often criticized like me, teased or devalued by others, you're more likely to struggle with poor self-esteem. So the past experiences and relationships have a deep impact on how we see ourselves, and then how we see also the world around us. So as a recap, a healthy confidence or self-esteem refers to realistic affirming thoughts and feelings about ourselves. People with a healthy self-esteem treat themselves and others with respect. They take responsibility of their own behavior and are proud of what they accomplished. So when you have a healthy self-esteem, it means you have a balanced or accurate view of yourself. You know that you have all the good things, but you also know there are some things which are flaws or your limitations. You see yourself realistically, you're grounded. So if you have a healthy self-esteem, you are assertive in expressing your need and opinions. You can talk about these things. You can speak up when something is not feeling well or going well. You can have talks in relationships, like what you need, that you need, for example, a hug, an easy thing. I couldn't tell previous boyfriends what I needed in certain times because I felt that they wouldn't love me if I express those thoughts or those needs. If you have a healthy self-esteem, you're confident in your ability to make decisions. You make your decision no matter what. I had times where I was in a restaurant and I couldn't make a decision, even on the menu. I couldn't make a decision what I wanted to order. I had a different person to choose for me because I couldn't do this. If you have a healthy self-esteem or healthy confidence, you're able to form secure and honest relationships. And you're less likely to stay in unhealthy ones. I stayed in unhealthy relationships for too long, for relationships where I also was abused in. And abuse can have many, many forms. It's not only sexual abuse, it can be a mental abuse, things like this. If you have a healthy confidence, you are realistic in your expectations and you're less likely to be overcritical with yourself and also with others. So the voice in your head knows when to quiet down. And you're not putting too much pressure on others because they don't do it in your way. And there's an example that when I was started work, I thought that all people are thinking in my way. So I couldn't understand why people are not as fast as I am, for example, in doing a certain task. So I reacted in a way on this that I didn't understand, that I put maybe also more pressure on them because I was really overcritical to what they were able to do, but they had their own way to do things. And I needed to understand this. And when I was able to understand this, I also became more relaxed for myself. I allowed myself to do things maybe in the way that they were doing it, because I was seeing that the way that they chose was even better than my fast way, that they didn't do as many errors as I did, for example, because of being very fast. And the best thing of being or having confidence is being resilient and more capable of stress-related situations and setbacks. So there are a lot of good things in there. And for me also to understand that a healthy confidence is not about blowing your own horn, or so to say, talking all the time about how great you are, how successful you are. That's not what confidence is about. Doing that is actually a sign that you're lacking confidence, that there is something inside of you that you are not accepting. Having a healthy confidence is about learning to like and respect yourself with all the thoughts, with all the flaws that you have, with all the good parts that you have. And it's important to understand that making mistakes and failing is a learning process. And the learning process will give you even more confidence because you understand and, okay, this is what I did wrong, but now I know what I did wrong. And so I can find a different way of doing things. And by doing that, you are confident that you can do the task again, and then you will succeed. So nothing is blocking you then anymore, because failures or mistakes are a learning curve. They are a learning process on the way to be more confident. So here we have another quote. And believe in yourself, have faith in your abilities. Without a humble but reasonable confidence in your own powers, you cannot be successful or happy. You cannot be successful or happy because you're blocking yourself all the time. You're doubting yourself all the time. And by doing so, you're not seeing things in the way that they are if you're not confident. So you need to have the confidence in yourself to allow yourself to be successful and to be happy. So what to do, you might ask now. And here are some things that you can do. So the first one might seem really, really hard. Don't seek validation from people because we're so used to it. We are so used to go to our family and to get the validation from them. We are so used to go to our friends and ask them for their opinions. And that's okay to do so. But what it is about is so we mostly combine getting their opinions with being liked by them. But this has nothing to do. They can have a different opinion and still like us and still love us. So you can ask them for their opinion, but you don't need to do it in the way that they are telling you. Trust your own things. When I asked my mom, for example, we had a talk recently about me moving back to Barcelona in a few weeks. And for her, coming from this German background of security, moving a lot is really, really bad. And I'm moving a lot. I'm moving around. And then for her, this is difficult to understand why I should do so. I should be in a constant home, maybe have a house by now, own a lot of things, and this is not my lifestyle. So for her, it's about worrying that I'm not able to settle down, worrying about not able to have my own house. So if I would do her lifestyle, I would still be in Germany. I would maybe have my own house now, but I would lack of the experiences that I have from traveling. I'm honoring her because I love her so much. I accept that she has a different opinion, but I also made clear that I'm not living her lifestyle. She has her own point of view on her life. She has her own problems. And then these things, the view on life and then her own problems, these are forming her opinion. But is it my opinion of life? Do I have the same problems? Do I have the same point of view on my life? No. And so I decided to live the life in the way that I want to do it. And then that's also what you need to have in mind. The opinions that you get from other people, they are always influenced by the problems that the people have, by their point of view. But they might see things completely different. They might fear certain things. My mom doesn't understand how you can work from at home with computers. It's not that she doesn't know working on computers. She did it already in a very early age. But this concept of working from at home, she doesn't understand. For her, a real job needs to be in an office where you're surrounded by a lot of people. So if you want to do something, don't do it because of certain people, do it because of you. And that's also the second point, to follow your dreams. You live only once. And maybe have this also always in your head, you only live once. If you stop yourself on living your dreams, then at a certain age, you might really feel like blocked. You might feel like you're lacking something. I only started living my dreams when I was 39. You're much younger, so you can start much earlier. And there are always ways. And yes, it might be tough at certain times, but there are always ways to follow your dreams. And for this, you need to set goals. Setting goals is another great way to boost your self-confidence. So you have your great goal. And for example, my great goal for the next 2 years is to move to the Dominican Republic, so in the Caribbean. I could leave it at this big goal, but what I did is I made smaller milestones. And whenever I reach one of these milestones, I'm celebrating myself. They are all realistic goals, so there is nothing unrealistic in there. So I do a check, how realistic is this goal? Can I reach this in the time frame that I set myself? How do I feel about this goal? And when everything feels right, I put it on my list. And I mark it in my calendar. So that's the time when I want to reach this goal. And as I said, I'm celebrating this. And whenever I reach a milestone, I feel so great. And I feel that I can reach everything that I want. And I proved myself throughout the years, since I'm living the lifestyle that I've always wanted to live, I proved myself that I can do this. And since then, my confidence is raising and raising and raising. So the fourth one, visualization. So you might have heard about this and you might think about, okay, I need to sit down and I need to dream about my goal. And yes, it's a bit like this. But there's much more in it. So it's not about just, oh yeah, let me dream about this a bit. It's maybe you heard about sports people doing this already. And let's take a basketball player. They are trying to throw the ball perfectly and then to make the shot. But they are also visualizing themselves doing it, how it feels. And then how it feels to do to turn the hand, and how it feels to catch a ball, and things like this. So it's visualization is about feeling it, feeling how you want to be when you reach the goal. So for me, it's when I'm visualizing myself with the goal of being in the Dominican Republic, I see myself being in the Dominican Republic. I see the house that I want to have there. I really feel how I'm feeling when I'm there. What I'm doing there, what kind of people are surrounding me, what I'm doing with the people. So it's quite detailed, and it's always combined with how I want to feel or how I am feeling when I reach the goal. Number 5, improve your body language. This was something that I really needed to learn. And then this is an example or a thing that you can do when you're in meetings or when you're talking with a person. And then you know that you, in this situation, you should look a bit more confident. So what can you do? Just put your both feet on the floor. If you do that right now and you sit up straight, put both feet on the floor and maybe put your shoulders back. If you do that now, I really invite you to do that now. You will feel that your body expression is changing. And when you do this, the person sitting on the opposite or that person will see that you are confident. You might still feel a lack of confidence inside, but your look is like this. And so the other person will show you more respect immediately. So give it a try. Let me quickly introduce 5 more things, guys. So the first one, improving your posture, has a bit to do with the one that we just talked about. But it's more about your day-to-day posture behavior. So how are you sitting? How are you standing? Are you more the person doing like this? So because it's comfortable, are you leaning somewhere always? And I'm a person, I'm leaning at walls when I have to wait. I'm like this. But if people are around, how are you standing? How are you sitting? So always keep your back straight and have the feet firmly planted on the floor. This is something that I really can give to you, because this will help you also when you have to do presentations at school, at university, or maybe later in the job. This will give you immediately more confidence. Win at life and not just as at a game. We always tend or we always want to win when we are playing games. But what about things that you do in your life? Do you want to win? Do you want to succeed in them? And this is for everything that you do in your life. If it's the meal that you're preparing, make it the best meal ever. If it's a presentation or an essay that you're writing, make it the best ever. If you're having a walk or if you're doing some sports, make it the best ever. Try to be the best version of yourself on a daily basis. And don't be afraid of failure. As I said previously, failures are not bad. They give you the great opportunity to learn, not only about the changes that you can do to succeed in that task, but they also give you a great learning opportunity about yourself. So whenever you do a failure, it's more a celebration of understanding yourself better, understanding what you can do in a different way. And as long as you keep trying your best, that's all that matters. Don't compare yourself to others. That's a bit similar to the first one, but this is more about what you see on social media, what you see or what people tell you about themselves might not be the real thing. And always have in mind, we all have different skills. We all have different abilities, strengths and weaknesses. So I can't say that I'm not good in certain things and I'm blaming myself for this, because I might be better in other things. And then, for example, what can I say? My boyfriend has a great understanding of how to do, how to cut videos and then things like this. I'm not good in this. I don't have patience for this. But does it make me, am I a bad person because of this? Is this a failure? No, I just recognize that he's better in it. So whenever I need help on this, I'm going to him, I'm asking him. But he's also not better because of this, because I have knowledge in different fields. So don't compare yourself. See what are your strengths. Have a look where you can learn certain things on top to improve the weaknesses that you have. And maybe they are becoming strengths too. But also, don't be afraid to ask for help from others. And then the last one, again, social media. So put your phone down. Don't have a look. Or for sure, you can do Instagram. I'm doing Instagram too. I'm doing TikTok, and I'm having a look on Facebook. So do it, but don't compare yourself to what you see. Always have in mind they are using filters. Always have in mind they are only showing the nice things to you. They don't show that a shot that they did, a video shooting that they did, took maybe several hours to have the perfect picture. They only show you that one moment, but they don't show what is behind. They don't show what kind of problems they have in their life. And they have their own problems. So now you have some of the steps that you can do to boost your self-confidence. And I hope that they were quite helpful. So let's do a quick way how to foster them. So how to keep them, how to keep the self-confidence. And as I said previously, there might be days where you're lacking self-confidence. So what can you do in these moments? Be kind to yourself. If something goes wrong, don't beat yourself up. Ask yourself instead what you could have done differently and determine to do it better next time. It's a learning curve again. One thing that I needed to learn is to have a look at the people that I'm surrounded with. So have a look at the people that you're surrounded with. If you feel that one person is constantly pulling you down, have a look how you can either spend less time with them, or maybe how you can deal with their constant critics or negative comments to you. Most of the time, these people have their own problems, and that's why they are so negative, and that's why they are blocking us in certain ways. What I've learned from that I mostly accompany myself with people that I really enjoy and that make me feel good. Give yourself also positive messages. So whenever this self-criticizing voice is coming up, and that's completely normal that it's there, but whenever you recognize it, for example, if there's the voice telling you, I'm always messing up, I failed again, recognize that voice. And then you can say something like, okay, thank you for making me aware, but I know what I have to do differently now. So you can grab a coffee, you can go somewhere else, my critic, yeah? Whatever name you want to give to that inner self-critic. So I said my inner critic is called Herbert. It's a German name, so don't worry, you don't need to remember that, but you can give it a name, and then it's easier to talk to that and then to get it away. You can also use affirmations to stop that inner critic. And there are great videos out there on YouTube with affirmations. And learn to see difficulties as problems to be solved rather than catastrophes. The problems that you have, yes, they might seem like big mountains in that moment. But be sure you will find solutions. It might take a few days to come up with a solution, but there is always a solution. And if you evolve in that self-confidence part, then you will see the solutions also much easier. So if you're not going the way like, oh gosh, this happens always to me, I'm in such a deep trouble, nobody loves me, I always have these issues at university, nobody sees me. So if you're stuck in this kind of thinking, it will be difficult to find the solutions. But as soon as you recognize that you're talking like this to yourself, again, use either the example that I gave you previously, or use some affirmations to get out there. And as soon as your thinking shifts again to the more positive ones, so that the inner self voice is stopped, you can find the solutions for all the difficulties. Do some brainstorming about the solutions that you can do. We are what we think. So it's really about replacing the negative or inaccurate thoughts into constructive ones. So you can use hopeful statements. Even though it's tough, I can handle the situation, as an example. Forgive yourself for mistakes. We all do mistakes. So it's not a reflection of your person that you did a mistake. It's not a sign that you are a bad person, that you are not capable. I did so many mistakes in my life, but I also learned from them, and you are doing the same. You will learn from them. And the one thing that I can also tell you is really to avoid I should do or I must do statements. You must not do anything. You can do things. If you tell yourself I should do or I must do, this is putting so much pressure on yourself that this can also block yourself. And then this can then, as an end result, block yourself from being confident. So also be nice with you when you're setting goals, when you're thinking about daily tasks. Sometimes it feels like, yes, we need to do certain things because there is a timeline. And yes, you need to do things, but it's not about I must do things. If you're feeling afraid on the way, have in mind feeling afraid is completely natural and human. This is always coming up, and I feel afraid in certain moments too, especially when there is a new task. But then I'm sitting there and I'm seeing my fear, and I'm like, okay, yes, It's nice that you're here. It's nice that you're trying to take care of me. It's nice that you try to save me, because this is actually a sign of our body trying to save us from something new that our body doesn't know. I'm not talking about bad situations that you're in. I'm talking about new tasks at university or in jobs that you will have, or maybe a certain thing in your family that where you have discussions. Fear, that in that moment, fear is really completely normal. And trust yourself to make good decisions, because you all can do good decisions. You all know who you are, or maybe you're on the way to find out who you are. But whenever you do a decision and it feels good, then it's the right decision. Every decision that doesn't feel good is not right for you. And then there also shows the confidence. If it's a good decision and it feels good, you have confidence that you can reach it, that you can do it. If the decision that you did doesn't feel good, you will not have the confidence to reach the thing that you decided on. And the last thing that I want to give to you, and this might sound really, really weird when I'm telling you this now. Feel pain and joy as fully as you can. You might think like, okay, joy you are, that you understand the joy part. Why pain? I'm not talking about physical pain. I'm talking about the pain that comes up when we did an error, when we did a mistake, or when we failed in something. There is this inner pain coming up that we didn't reach our goal, that we were not capable of certain things. And when you feel that pain, also recognize it, let it be there for a few moments, a few minutes, or maybe half a day. Feel in it to understand what it actually is about. Is it really about the failure that you had, about the mistake that you did? Or is it about something else? And this will only come up when you really allow it to be there, to feel it. And other than that, the thing that I can really tell you is to enjoy life to the fullest, to celebrate the good things in your life, to have a lot of gratitude for the good things that are in your life. And even if it's only the cup of coffee in the morning, because the day otherwise is really tough, but there is one good thing in your life on every day or in every day. So be grateful for that one thing. Be grateful maybe for the sunrise. Be grateful for the birds singing. This all will give you confidence. And I end the session with that quote from Jonah Math. When you have confidence, you can have a lot of fun. And when you have a lot of fun, you can do amazing things. So it's up to you now. Question time.
If anybody has any question, you can just unmute yourself and ask to ma'am, or you can drop it in the chat box.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Excuse me, ma'am. I had a question. Like, how would you handle your confidence in a toxic family? Like, suppose your mother is always criticizing you, and you stay in the same family. You try to get yourself out of it, but you come back home and it's the same thing going on. So it does affect your mental health and everything. So how do you escape from it?
That's a really very good question, because it's similar to my family, to be honest. So for me, it was difficult for many, many years, and that's why I understand so much that it's also tough for others. So what I did, and it started with me moving away from Germany, but this must is maybe not the solution in your case. But for me, understanding that they are toxic. This was the first big step in seeing my parents. My father is a completely narcissist, so very difficult sometimes to handle. And my mom, she's not toxic overall, but she was so impacted by how he was to us, that she had her own coping patterns with it. With my mom, I have a great understanding nowadays, but only because we were able to talk about the things that happened with our father. They are separated by now, so it's easier. With my father, I tried it for many, many years, and it was always going back and forth. I made the decision for myself that I don't want to have contact with him anymore, because for me it's too toxic. But throughout the years, I also learned to understand where his toxicity was coming from. So I learned a lot about his childhood. I questioned my grandma, for example, how they educated him. And then I heard stories about throwing a big basket of ice cold water about him or on him, just because he was screaming as a 3-year-old, because this was normal, she told me. And I was like, come on, he was 3, he was screaming, you should have hugged him. And she was like, no, as a boy, you shouldn't behave like this. So I understood where certain things were coming from, and this made it easier to take certain things and then to really say, okay, this is your opinion. I understand your opinion, and yes, you're right, and turning around and doing my thing. I'm not sure if this helps you, but maybe understanding where certain things are coming from, and then really find a way for yourself to accept what they are saying, because it's their opinion, but you are allowed to have your own opinion, and you are allowed to do it your way, even if they don't see it. And then later, when you're older, you can make your own decision how you want to go on with it. Yeah?
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Other questions, guys?
You can also type your question in chat box.
I have a question. Like, how do we overcome with the criticism that we feel? Like for today, I'm giving an example. Like today, I am anchoring this webinar. Okay, so if I do any mistake, my team is very supportive. But if anything happens wrong, they will actually tell me like it is bad. It happened. Why did it happen? Like they will scold me. So if the team is not supportive for someone, like I am very lucky to have a supportive team, but if there is not a supportive team for someone, then how do they should overcome that disease?
Okay. So it's more about the criticism that other people give you in that moment, or the criticism that you give yourself because you might have done a mistake? That's my question first.
I'm both actually.
Okay, so two things. I'm just thinking about where to start. For me, I think it's first always the inner, so the criticism for yourself, because you're putting pressure on yourself that you need to be perfect, that you should do everything correctly so that the team is not upset with you. And I used one word in there explicitly because I've mentioned it in the training, the word should. And being in such a situation, and I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, so don't worry about this. I was in that situation so often. And then previously I was in a similar situation and I felt the fear coming up for a second because it was a new tool. I had to do a presentation and nothing worked. And I was like, oh gosh, that team that I'm doing it for, they will be really angry afterwards. I even forgot to press the record button on time. So everything that I could do wrong went wrong. But then I was like, it's a new tool. I've never worked with it. So why I'm putting the pressure on myself? I apologized to the team, to the people in the meeting, and everything worked fine. So most of the times when we fear what other people might think about certain things and might think that I did an error, that's here. It's not what the other people really think about you. And yes, you might always have the unsupportive team. You might have this in future. But there's always that one person in the team that will help. So, and if you're really in a situation where you have a team that is completely unsupportive, you will find out and then you can prepare yourself with a list. And that's what I do, or what I did in previous jobs when even when I was new and I didn't know how the team would be, yeah, I made a list of certain things, like if I needed to do a presentation, I went into the room 15 or 20 minutes previously to check the setup, as I do now. I'm always in there 15 minutes previously to check the setup. Is everything working? So you can do this already. And yes, you might forget the record button. Happens. But nobody will be very angry about it. You can put it on your checklist, and shortly before you start the meeting, you go through the checklist again and you see, okay, and what to do if there is a, let's say, negative feedback, yeah? Because most of the people want to give us feedback, but they don't know how to give feedback correctly. So they give us a form of negative feedback, which is criticism to us. And there I can only recommend to have a look at what the person is saying and then judge, is this what the person is saying to you? Do you see this also? Was this a mistake that you did? Then yes, you can learn from it. But if you don't rely at all to what the person is telling you, say thank you and forget it.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Do anybody have any more questions?
Really use it.
Guys, I've shared the feedback link in the chat box. Please do provide the feedbacks for the same.
Thank you, Tanya, for doing so.
So as we have come to the end of the session, nobody has any more questions to ask. So let's conclude it.
Yeah,
On
yes.
behalf of Adore and all the members present here, I would like to thank Ms. Daniela Elster for sharing her wisdom through this insightful session. Thank you, ma'am, once again. And it was pleasure having you here and with us. And we look forward to have many such sessions, insightful learning sessions with you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me once again. And I'm looking forward to see you soon for another meeting.
So I request everyone to please turn on your camera. Okay, sorry,
So
ma'am.
that we can have a group
Yes,
virtual
please. I would like to
selfie.
have a group picture too this time. I forgot to ask last time. So
Yeah.
Please
Please
turn
on
on
the
the
cameras
camera.
and have a warm smile at your face so that picture comes very good.
Primrose, can you also turn on your camera? Angela is not there yet. Oh, we have a new message. Okay.
Angela, okay, Advik, Yashika.
Akib, Primrose. Come on, guys, for a second, try it.
Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Then smile, guys, so that I can have a nice picture of you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, guys, and if you want to reach out to me, have a look for either my name, so Daniela Elster. I can type it. You can find me with that on Facebook or on LinkedIn. On Instagram, you will find me as Sunrise Delight Coaching. And my homepage, if you want to have a look at it, is sunrisedelight.net. There are also always freebies on there. I think at the moment I have freebies for affirmations on there. So if you want to have a look what kind of affirmations you could tell yourself and what affirmations are, have a look. There is a freebie section. If you can't find it, just reach out to me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, or on Facebook, and I will send you the link. No worries. And if there are other questions about the topic for today, also reach out to me. I'm happy to help you on that. Thank you, guys. And I'm looking forward to seeing you soon again.
Thank you, ma'am, for such an insightful session.
Okay, guys.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you guys for joining in.